Washington 30, Giants 29. Welcome to Talking Giants. I'm presented by DraftKings. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host, Justin Pennick. And man, this might be the most painful episode we've ever done. Like last year, Thursday Night Football versus the Eagles was tough. It was tough, but man, that one was later in the season. And there's so much to hit on. There's so many things. And it's frustrating because Daniel Jones played a great game. But it's just, I feel let down, dude. I feel let down after all that went into this offseason for the New York Giants. After what we were told was going to be good and be disciplined, and we bought in. And it just feels like it's all deflating. You know, it feels like week 2. It's where, 5 days into the season, and it feels like it's over. You know, and that's what it feels like recording this at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, what's most disappointing about all of this is that we were most confident in the things that are failing right now. Failing. We were most confident in this team being well coached. We were most confident in this team being disciplined. We were most confident in the team doing the little things right. And that starts at the top with Joe Judge. And
the defense.
And the defense. And this is a poorly coached team that has a lot of money going into players that are not doing enough. It is bad. It is bad. Red flag in all facets and all assets of things. Poorly coached team that looks confused, that looks lost, that doesn't understand situational awareness. That's the team. And the coaches certainly look lost as well with their situational awareness. Bad. Couldn't get any worse.
Yeah. Well, we got some stuff to get to, so let me get this out of the way. Week 1 may be over, and week 2 has started and broken my heart. But the season's just getting started at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. To kick off week 2, DraftKings is giving new customers $200 in free bets instantly when they bet $1 in any football game. Listen up, because you don't want to miss this. Head to DraftKings Sportsbook app now and place a bet of $1 on any week 2 game to receive $200 in free bets instantly. If Sportsbook is not yet available in your state, DraftKings still has huge cash prizes up for grabs all season long with their daily fantasy contests. DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code JOHNBOY to receive $200 in free bets when you place a $1 bet on a football game. That's promo code JOHNBOY this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older. New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit and $1 wager required. 1 per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER, or in Indiana, 1-800-9-WITH-IT. All right, so where do we start? Because usually on game recaps, it's very much like, all right, we talk about the offense first, and then we talk about the defense. But in this game, I just feel like we have to just talk about the game, and not so much analyzing, but just kind of like trying to figure out what's wrong, and because some stuff is broken. And I do want to start with football, though, and maybe less about penalties can we start about? Do you want to start with the defense or penalties? Because the penalties feels kind of like gimmicky sports radio talk, even though it's real. And the defense, we can point to stuff.
Yeah, I feel like everybody wants us to start talking about the defense, so let's do that.
Well, I mean, Taylor Heinicke carved up this Giants defense, and this defense was supposed to be good. They were the 9th ranked defense last year, and they were supposed to be good and not, get better as the season went along like they did last year. Like last year, they got better as the season went. But this year, they were supposed to be just flat out good. Teddy Bridgewater, and Taylor Heinicke. Heinicke went 34 of 46, 336 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. And, when they handed the ball off to their running back, 17 carries for 79 yards, over 4.5 yards per pop out of their running back. So they were able to run the ball when they wanted to. And here's what I'll say about the defense, Justin, is that besides the James Bradberry interception, and that James Bradberry interception came after probably his worst game as a Giant, where he allowed 11 catches, 107 yards, and 1 touchdown. And he is the most important player on this defense. The most important player on this defense is James Bradberry. And we expect greatness now out of him. We expect other players to be good, but James Bradbury, we kind of expect greatness every single week. And he gave up 11 catches, 107 yards, and a touchdown to Terry McLaurin. But he did have that interception. So, it was a bad game, but he did have that interception. But other than that, Azeez Ojulari, the rookie, who was not even officially a starter, 1 sack and 1 tackle for a loss. That was it. There was not a single sack. There was not a single tackle for a loss after that. I mean, this is a team with some high-priced playmakers on this defense. They got Blake Martinez. He's supposed to be a playmaker. He didn't make any plays tonight. Logan Ryan, did he make any plays tonight? No. Did Jabril Peppers make any plays tonight? Even though I'm a little frustrated that he's getting his playing time taken away. And I guarantee if it's frustrating me, it's frustrating him. Did he make any plays tonight? No. Did Leonard Williams make any plays tonight? No. Did Dexter Lawrence make any plays? No. He had a really bad penalty at the end of the game, if you don't remember it. Dexter Lawrence had 1 tackle. Adoree Jackson. I mean, he got mossed for a touchdown in the corner of the end zone. Xavier McKinney, year 2. Got drafted high in the second round. Did he do anything tonight? No. So if we had lost by Darnay Holmes giving up catches in the slot, or we blitz and guys didn't get home, it's a little bit more understandable because it's like, well, that's what the personnel is. They don't have guys on the edge right now. But none of the playmakers made plays, and that comes back to Patrick Graham. It's hard to evaluate exactly what went wrong on TV. I think people will point to, soft zone. But they got it. I'm not even going to try and figure out what exactly went wrong, like Patrick Graham scheme-wise from watching TV. But it went wrong, and it was supposed to be good. So like you said at the beginning, it starts at the top and it goes down to the bottom through the players. These guys need to make plays, and they need to be put in positions to make plays.
Yeah. There are times where you feel like they're close to making a pass deflection, and those are pass deflections you thought that they would make last year, but instead they go for 15-yard gains. And then there are times where guys are just wide open. You allow stuff underneath, where last year they would come up and they would make the tackle. They would prevent the yards after the catch, and it would be limited. Well, this year the yards after the catch is more. It's happening more. It's going for five plus or more yards, and they're the intermediate part of the game is available to other teams. So, you listed it, all those guys, and I look at Lorenzo Carter. I look at all these guys that are rushing the passer. That nobody has a move. Nobody has a move that they can go to that allows them to get free. And they talked about it on, I think Bob Papa, Carl Banks, they were talking about it, where if Patrick Graham wants to bring a blitz, you got to do it sparingly. Because if you don't win, then you get burned on the back end. And that's why coverage is so important, but they're bad. They're bad. And I hate that I'm at a loss for words right now, but it's just bad all around. Graham is clearly doing something different than what he did last year. And clearly, the upgraded players and year 2 in the system, they should be astronomically better. The edge room should be 10 times better. O'Shane Ximines hasn't made a single pass rushing move besides playing second string, third string starters in the preseason. Hasn't made a single move to get back there. And he's played more snaps than he deservedly should, in my opinion. He was out there on a lot of rushing snaps. I'm not going to remember if he got blown up on a specific play, but it's bad. They're bad.
Carter hasn't made a play. Azeez is the only guy. Like, he had a sack to start the game, which was huge on third down, and then I don't know where the tackle for a loss came in. It probably was kind of just a nothing play. But yeah, man, and I think, and it's hard to tell from TV, and I know this episode we don't want to get too nerdy, but it seems like Patrick Graham is trying to do what Brandon Staley did with the Rams last year, and they're trying to do too high stuff, and they're disguising coverages, but they're kind of getting to everything is based as a too high cover 2, cover 4 look, where last year it was cover 3. So, like, I don't know, it's hard to say from TV, but it's just like I'm frustrated with what's happening with the defense. Last week I gave them a pass because it's like, you know what, they've earned they've earned a little bit of slack. It was week 1, and again, this defense has good players. So, like, it should not be for the rest of the year like this, like, it should change and get better, and I know it's always very reactionary, but it's like, I don't hate Patrick Graham. I don't like what I've seen these first 2 weeks, but I don't hate Patrick Graham, and I'm not like, calling, being like, oh, we all those things we said about him were wrong. No, what he did last year doesn't. I'm not discrediting him for that. But right now, whatever they're doing, it's not working, and their playmakers are not making plays. But Bradbury has a very high bar, and he's not even coming close to meeting it right now. No. He's not even like. It'd be one thing if it's like, oh man, Bradbury's not like dominating the way he was last year, but right now he's just losing.
Yeah. Their guys aren't making plays on the football. I mean that was the common theme last year. Dory Jackson had 2 pass deflections today. They're not making plays on the football the same rate they were. They're getting there late. They're reacting late, and it's because it's scheme, all this, that. I don't know. They're getting there late. They're allowing completions, and they're not getting home. So it's a bad formula. Taylor Heineke, Teddy Bridgewater, and the crazy thing is that Matt Ryan is the best quarterback that we've played yet this season, and he's bad. He's going to be the best quarterback that we're going to play so far this season. Week 3, next week, and he's bad now. He can't throw the ball down the field.
Yeah, it's frustrating, and Heineke's like a fun player, but it's like he throws a very soft ball. He throws guys high, and the Adore touchdown. I mean, that was a beautiful throw. I give Heineke all the credit on that one. But
he's got guts. He's got guts.
It's no one made plays, man.
Nope.
And where do you let's talk? Okay, let's transition that because we're talking about Patrick Graham and the defense, and I feel like that's a natural transition to Joe Judge. Stuff's gonna start turning, man. It just is. No,
it already has. It has.
Well, and it will happen from within, man. It happens quick. You think it won't, but it happens quick. We say a lot of things, and then when stuff starts happening in the season, they have to turn this around. I mean, look at this: a false start, then a sack. It would have been a 44-yard field goal. Punting. That's minus 3 points. Now, here's what I will not overreact, though, is like C.J. Board didn't hold on that Daniel Jones touchdown.
Right.
So it's like, can I be like, Joe Judge, discipline? Like, C.J. Board didn't hold on that penalty. The Slayton drop, that's not being undisciplined. That's just having a drop. But that's minus 4 points. The holding penalty, that's minus 4 points. And then Dexter Lawrence jumping off sides, that's minus 3 points. So I'm not joining the, like, oh, he taught undisciplined, like he talks about undisciplined. Like the Dexter Lawrence, like that's I can't blame Joe Judge for Dexter Lawrence jumping at that snap. I'm sorry, I just can't. I know we want to, and it seems like the easy target right now, but I'm not doing that. I blame him for a very conservative mindset for this team. That's what I will say. On defense and offense. And that's my issue with Graham, is like that last drive, it was like, come on, man. I know you're trying to stop them from getting down the field, and you don't want to get burnt the way you did versus Philly last year and in the Dallas game last year. But it's like, man, they're just moving it easily underneath. It's like I can make these passes underneath. So that's with that, I think that's the Judge mindset. And offensively, we'll talk about it, how they ended the game. I think that's a Judge mindset. Like, I'm not putting that last 3 plays on Jason Garrett. I'm putting that on Joe Judge.
Yeah, Kim, can I play that soundbite right now?
Go for it.
All right, I got it.
Yeah, that had nothing to do with not trusting Daniel. There was also trusting our run game as well, and trusting the offensive line up front to open some seams and get it moving. We talk all the time about the strategy of what to do in that situation. That's obviously one of the things that you go back and forth on. I think ultimately it's you want to control it as much as you can, ensure the points you have, not put yourself in position for a negative play. Obviously on third down we threw that ball right there. There was a lot of trust in our offense right there to go ahead and do it. It would have been easy to go out there and run the ball one more time, and that's not saying that's the right or wrong move. A lot of teams do that, have a lot of success. We've done that before and have plenty of success. So, we felt at that time that was the best thing for us. We had confidence in our run game, confidence in our offensive line, confidence in the quarterback when we called his number on third down. So, in terms of how we do it, like we finished that situation there, we had to turn around and play the next situation coming up.
Bobby, the Giants on 1st and 10 today had 8 rushes. They had 1 total yard. They didn't average 1 yard per rushing attempt on 1st and 10. They had a total of 1 yard. They felt confident in their running game there. Rushing under center, which they didn't do a lot throughout the majority of the game. They actually had somewhat of an effectiveness running out of the shotgun with the option of Daniel Jones and then Saquon Barkley. And when you run out of the shotgun, there's less likely for guys to be in the box. But on 1st and 10, they had 8 rushing attempts for 1 yard. And your quarterback had one of the best games of his career. I would say maybe the 3rd or the 4th best game of his entire career. And you run the ball twice. Under center.
It's playing to not lose and not playing to win.
I'm sorry. That was something that I preached last year, and I got criticized at times. Even there were some situations this game where I was actually fine with the 4th down decision-making this game because the Giants were actually moving the ball, and I was confident in their ability to put the ball in the end zone the next time that they got the ball. So I was fine with, kicking field goals. There was a 4th and 2, in the red zone, and they kicked a field goal where if there's one where it's debatable, it's like, yeah, you got to go for that maybe, especially when the offense was actually moving the ball and you felt good. Maybe you spread it out and Daniel Jones puts the ball in the end zone. But I preached about it last year, and I felt I was criticized for it. Joe Judge doesn't trust this. Joe Judge doesn't trust that. What's the excuse now? There is no excuse. That's unacceptable. That lost you the game. I understand, Dexter Lawrence too, and you can have the whole pile list and the defense not being good. Yes, but that single-handedly right there, where the one strength that you had this game was your quarterback. Really, that was the strength of this football game. And in the most critical part of the game, you chose not to use your quarterback, and you chose to do something where you had 8 rushing attempts on 1st down and 1 yard total. Not per attempt.
They're expecting the run here too. And they're expecting the run here too.
Yes.
And think about, and not just like that. Think about the situation. Bradbury has that interception. Washington had all 3 timeouts and the 2-minute warning. The clock was going to stop. Okay, if you didn't get the 1st down, they were going to have 2 minutes left there.
And they would have only needed a field goal. It's not like they needed a touchdown. So if you want to have a team that wants to burn timeouts, I can understand if the opposing team needs a touchdown. But the fact that they need a field goal and they're going to have 2 minutes to go, even with no timeouts left, I mean, Washington was taking a piss and working their way up to midfield this game.
Yes, and they had done it all game too, So it's not like they held them strong on defense all game, and then it's like, wow, they really moved the ball well. It's like, no, they moved the ball well all night. And like you said, if they were up by 4 points and the field goal puts them up by 7, I'm okay with that approach. But you weren't. You were down. You were down 2 points. And like you said, all they needed was a field goal. It was coaching scared. To go run, pass. And then you have an incompletion. And it ends up, Shep, who balled out, drops the ball on 3rd down, which would have been short of the sticks anyways. And the clock stops. And you give them over 2 minutes, a timeout, and the 2-minute warning now. Like, they don't have to burn their 3rd timeout.
And maybe if you didn't put your quarterback in a 3rd and 7 situation, maybe you can make it a little bit of an easier throw on a 3rd and short. Or if you threw it on second
they blitz.
Down.
And it's 3rd and 7. And it's like, well, you don't want him to make a mistake. Like, that's going through his head. Like, I can't be too ballsy on this 3rd down. It's like, I need to get the ball out quick, and I can't be too ballsy, Yeah. He threw it to the right guy, and Shep just dropped it, And it would have been short by a yard anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered. And he had to get the ball out quick because they blitzed.
And it just goes back to the critique that I also had last week, too. There is a lack of awareness on this coaching staff as to what works and what does not work. Complete and utter refusal to acknowledge that Daniel Jones is a very good deep ball thrower. Bobby, I'm pretty sure it took him over a quarter and a half for Daniel Jones to actually throw the ball more than 15 air yards. There is just there's blinders for whatever reason, and I don't know. I'm sick and tired of hearing that. Oh, it is Daniel Jones. They don't believe in him. How much does he need to show you that he can do it in certain situations? I'm not saying he's perfect. He's not Mahomes. He's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not Justin Herbert. He's not all these guys. Not Russell Wilson. But how much does he lack of awareness?
He balled out tonight, and they should have put the game in his hands.
And they didn't.
He went 22 of 32, had 249 yards, a touchdown. Should have been 2 passing touchdowns. Darius Slayton has a drop in the end zone. So it should have been a 300-yard game with 2 touchdowns. He had 9 carries for 95 yards and a touchdown. It should have been a 100-plus yard rushing game with 2 touchdowns. He balled out. And it wasn't just like simple stuff. Like, he was hanging there in the pocket. And I will say, and I decided we'll wait to the end to talk about Nick Gates. Let's get the football stuff out, and then we could finish off talking about Nick, because I feel so bad for him. But the O-line, for the most part, they weren't perfect. Gave him time to move. And Jones looks better moving in the pocket, too. Like, he was hanging in there and getting some tight throws in there. And Shep was, Shep is pissed off they drafted a slot wide receiver, which we can even talk about that if we want to. And he balled out. And it's from the TV, like, it looked like Garrett, like, they weren't running stick a ton. And the one time they did run stick, it was that play where Shep was wide open in the flats on that third down, and everyone was like, why didn't Jones throw there? That was stick, and I hate stick. But Rudolph screwed that up. Rudolph should have ran as stick as you either hook curl versus zone, you find the hole and you turn around, or you're running out versus man, and he just turns around. So Daniel Jones is totally expecting him to, run that out, be open versus man coverage, and he just turns around into a defender. Like, Kyle Rudolph is the worst signing of this offseason, by the way. I don't feel like that's overreactionary. He's bad. He's slow. He's unathletic. I don't see him adding much as a blocker. Caden Smith, honestly, it's disrespect. Like, they should have stayed with Caden Smith. They should have just went with Caden Smith.
Yeah.
And done Ingram, Caden Smith. It didn't make sense at the time. We were like, what our talking points like. It makes sense if they trade Ingram, but like having Ingram and Rudolph, and he just looks really bad. Like when you watch him play last year, he looks like he's taking a step down, and I'm sure the foot injury had something to do with that. But anyways, that's my rant getting off on the stick. But it's like there was some things, there's always game like. And here's what I'll say. And here's what I'll say in defense of Jason Garrett, because I have been railing against Jason Garrett, and I agree with everything I've said the previous days. Like, I do. Like, I don't think Jason Garrett will ever be an advantage as an offensive coordinator. But nitpicking this game would be just playing the results that we lost.
No, you can't.
There's things I disagree with in this game. Where, like, I didn't like this. They lined up in like wing T on one play, and they had a second and 15 draw. So there's things you could point at. But you can point at those things in kind of every game when you lose, and that's when I get mad at like sports radio. Like, that's when I was getting mad at the Pat Shurmur stuff in 2019. It's like, you guys are just mad we're losing, and you're finding every little thing to pick on him for instead of finding the actual things that are wrong. Yeah. Anyways, I don't know where I started.
No, well, here I'll bring it back with Jones and Garrett. Jones's average time to throw was 2.79 seconds. His average last year was 2.76 seconds. That's above average. He had time, and he was manipulating the pocket well. So, I mean, it's kind of crazy that the two biggest concerns that most Giants fans, and even I'm talking just regular casual level Giants fans, that, maybe didn't have the critique of Jason Garrett, most casual level Giants fans said that Daniel Jones and the offensive line are the two biggest concerns. They're the least of our problems to start this season outside of a Daniel Jones fumble last week. So that's kind of crazy. His intended air yards was 10.8, almost 11 yards. That's really high. His average yards to the sticks was 0.5, which means that on average, he was throwing a half a yard ahead of the sticks. We love that. We love to see that. Obviously, when you produce some explosive plays here and there, the Darius Slayton almost 50-yard touchdown, it may skew that number a little bit, but you have to count it, right? And on average, this is what really impresses me the most. The fact that he had almost a 70% completion rate, and he was throwing into tight windows on 30% of his passing attempts. He had an aggressiveness percentage, according to Next Gen Stats, of 28.1%. That's insane. That's insane. Dude was good.
This was when the Giants drafted him. This was the Daniel Jones I fell in love with. This was him. And this was when you saw the rookie year, you saw the flashes, and you're like, he's got to clean up some other stuff. And this was that game. This was him showing that stuff, using his legs, and cleaning up the bad stuff. That was this game from Daniel Jones, man. And I feel so bad that it just goes wasted. It goes wasted. And Slayton has that big touchdown. And I read the ad because I want to talk about Kenny Golladay.
All right, let's read the ad. Look, no one's perfect.
Not even
a lot of people on the Giants aren't. A lot of people on the Giants aren't perfect tonight. Even the best baseball players strike out with the bases loaded. The best golfers sometimes 3-putt with the tournament on the line. Even Joe Judge, who we love with all of our hearts, even he's going to call a run on first and second down, even though the Giants had a total of 1 rushing yard on all first down attempts tonight. So if you feel like you're coming up short in the bedroom, which I got to tell you what, if I had a pretty lady in my room right now and I was asked to perform tonight, I don't know if I would. I'm a little.
These are the types of nights where she performs for you, where it's like, I'm just gonna lay back and you perform. You and the Roman are gonna perform.
Guess what? It's perfectly okay. But if it's bothering you, like it would be bothering me, there's options. Go to GetRoman.com/JohnBoy right now. With Roman, you get a free online evaluation, ongoing care for ED, all from the comfort and the privacy of your home. U.S. licensed healthcare professional. They'll work with you to find the best treatment plan. If medication is appropriate, it ships to you free with 2-day shipping. Whole process is straightforward and discreet. Getting started is simple. Go to GetRoman.com/JohnBoy. Complete an online visit. Take care of your ED without leaving your home. I hate leaving my home. However, this weekend, I think I need to get out. I need to get out of this house. I need to get away from my computer, not looking at some stats for a little bit. I'm going to the beach this weekend. Yeah, go to the beach. Complete an online visit today, connect with the doctor, and take care of it. Go to GetRoman.com/JohnBoy now to get $15 off your first month. There's a straightforward way to take care of your ED. GetRoman.com/JohnBoy. Get started now. Save $15 off your first month of treatment. Thank you, Roman.
All right, so Kenny Golladay. 3 catches for 38 yards. Just targeted 8 times. He had a big-time drop on that RPO, which would have got them down into like the 8, but they scored after that. They have the one throw that Jones throws like perfectly on the money, and the defender's grabbing at it, but we kind of like, Kenny, you kind of got to play through that. That's why we paid for you.
Yep. What
do you think about Kenny yelling at Daniel Jones on the sideline?
I don't think anything of it.
I want to, but it's yelling on the sideline happens, you know. So it's like it'll that clip will be shared like crazy, and you know they'll be like, oh, but that happens, you know. Families fight, you know. Me and you, will have screamed at each other to the death at times, and it works. Like it fights. So I'm not overreacting to that, but part of me also is like, hey man, like he outperformed you today, so like maybe you should chill out on the yelling a little bit, you know.
I mean, frankly, I like a little bit of motion. You know, Judge even after the game, you know, one of the beat reporters asked a good question about, you know, do you get upset after these heart-wrenching losses? And he was like, you know, you can't be too high, you can't be too low, you gotta like stay in the middle. It's all about the process and evaluating. And it's like, well, Joe, it's also about winning football games. It's not just about a process. So. You know, what do you say? Like, what do you like? Do you want Joe Judge reacting that way, where you're just medium level and you're even cool, or I would rather my $17 million wide receiver showing a little bit of emotion that he's not involved enough, and you know that he's frustrated. I don't know, and frankly, in a way, I don't care.
Yeah, that happens as long as it doesn't bleed into anything else. Yeah. You know, like and with anything, you know, with the New York Giants, you get the Odell comparisons, and people, and this is my issue, is like, you know, there's certain things with Odell that got attention that really didn't deserve attention, but there was also things that Odell did that did deserve a ton of attention. I don't think yelling on like Odell throwing his helmet at the sideline and proposing to the kicking net thing, you know, that's fine. You know, like you could be mad. You know, you yell at each other, you figure stuff out. But it was like, don't sabotage your team. But anyway, I'm not trying to talk about Odell. Basically, what I'm saying is like I'm fine with them yelling. There's gonna be jokes made about it, but as long as it doesn't become more than that. Like here's what I would worry about a lot more than that, as far as locker room wise. I'm very interested to see what Pepper's snap count is. He needs to be playing more snaps. You know.
Yeah.
Like. He's on a contract year. Like, he is going to be resentful if him on a contract year they're reducing his snaps. You know, so that's why I'd be worried about. But yeah, I mean, but that's what my kind of reaction to it was like, golly, why are you yelling? Like Jones outperformed you today. He gave you a couple opportunities that you had a drop, and another play you didn't make a play on it. You can argue about, you know, a guy grabbing your arm, but like, you know, they do drills for that. And, you know, you were supposed to be that guy.
Yeah. Speaking of locker room issues, Danny King just sent us a nice text message from a Zach Rosenblatt tweet. Kadarius Toney posted this to his Instagram story. I will read what that caption is in a second. He was visibly upset at one point on the sideline in the second half, speaking with Joe Judge. Nothing at a Galladay Jones level, but clearly wasn't happy. And the caption reads that Kadarius Toney posted on his Instagram story, I don't be mad shit. Oh, hold on. There should be a comma after mad. I don't be mad. Shit just be lame to me for real. So
hold on. Let me pull it up so I can see what it says.
He might have already deleted it, but
It's a post from Slime Quotes that was posted on December 4th.
I don't be mad. Should just be lame to me.
Let's not overreact to that.
Yeah,
They lost. I'm not
It's a
going to be
thing.
happy. But there was... I'm interested to see what happened with Tony. I don't know, man. It's Tony's not involved. Like, he's played 2 games for the Giants as a first-round pick and has -2 yards.
Yep.
And 2 targets, and those 2 were manufactured targets, not him being a part. And he was out there tonight. I don't know how much, but he was a part of the offense for at least the first half.
People were asking, is he out there? I'm like, yeah, he's out there. And he was like lining up as a regular wide receiver. There were times where it didn't look like he necessarily knew where he was going and what was happening. I found it to be curious too that this is just nitpicking. Found it to be curious too that Daniel Jones half the time had to tell Nate Solder what to do, and and it's crazy how
Washington's defensive ends are so stupid. Why would they not bull rush Nate Solder? They tried to beat him around the corner every time. They're so dumb.
And how much of a disaster that offensive line could have been tonight, especially with Nick Gates going out. How much of a disaster that could have been with protections and not getting calls. It seemed like Jones did a really good job of administering those calls. For out of all the things that could go wrong this year, and again, this just goes back to the initial point that we had to start off the show. All the crap that could go wrong this year with this team, most notably the line, Jones, that is the least of our worries right now. And that is the thing that is most frustrating. The offensive line is the least of our issues. And I also can't stand the whole talking point of, oh, well, the rushing offense they're not getting going. Daniel Jones had multiple explosive plays tonight and should have had 2 rushing touchdowns tonight. That's part of the rushing offense. So,
yeah. What else did I want to hit on? So you're talking about the offensive line. Lemieux and Gates being out, they have to add someone.
Yeah.
Right now, their only backup on the interior is Matt Skura.
I mean, they could call up Kenny Wiggins from the practice squad.
Kenny Wiggins isn't on the practice squad. He got cut.
Oh. Bummer.
Which I would rather have Chad Slade than Kenny Wiggins.
Well, to get Chad Slade back in here.
Maybe even John Halapio. How about that?
John, that could be a possibility, and I'm saying that with somewhat of an informed opinion.
Sources say he may have got a phone call during camp. Anyways, yeah. So, let's go through it. QB. We talked about QB. It sucks. You know what sucks is that I'm not talking about how Daniel Jones is 5-0 versus Washington and rubbing in their face and gloating and saying like, "How about your primetime stats on Daniel Jones now?" Like this primetime matters, Like it leaves a mark on players. It's the reason why Taylor Heineke played like a decent game versus Tampa Bay in the wildcard game, and like the whole country loves him because it was right in front of everyone's eyes. Primetime changes the view of people, and I know everyone saw Jones tonight, but they don't remember because he lost.
Yep.
And that sucks. That really sucks. Garrett, again, I'm not going to nitpick at Garrett. I think
you know what's crazy?
I thought they did. I thought they changed offensively. They didn't run stick like crazy.
I was about to come in here and have a celebration of I told everyone, I told you so. I said that this offense was going to move the ball more if they had opportunities. I said that if you let Daniel Jones be more aggressive on early downs, that he is going to do well. I said all of these things. I put it on a pedestal. And they blew it. And that's honestly, I'm more pissed about that than anything.
Yeah.
They ruined it for me.
What'd you think of Saquon tonight? He looked a lot better than last week.
He did. He had the explosive play, but when can what? Let's
there was one play. Remember the one play where he like gets the hole and then he he literally turns to the side. I was so pissed off at Ben Bredesen or Billy Price and Will Hernandez. They're just sitting there. They're just standing there like waiting for Saquon to be tackled. And it's like, you guys could have blocked someone. He might have been able to like spring that for a play or something.
Not counting the 41-yard gain, Saquon Barkley had 12 attempts for 16 yards. So, I mean, when is it okay to have a conversation? And I understand the run blocking may not be there yet. I fully understand it. when can we have a conversation about him? And it's still too early because he's coming back from the major knee injury.
Can we get a play-by-play of like what his carries were? Like let me look at it.
I mean, I can control F his name on the what do you call it?
Like just like we got 5
game book
yards on this one, -2. I don't know. Let's not do a Saquon thing.
No, I know. I
Let's
don't
watch film before we talk.
It's not fair. It's not fair to do it yet.
Well, you might even just be totally wrong. We'll Tuesday mailbag. We'll watch the film and see what it looks like.
But there has to come a point where it doesn't matter whose fault it is. It could be the offensive line's fault. It could be Saquon Barkley not being efficient enough. Seth Walder did tweet this out tonight that the rushing yards over expected metric that I really like, that is a next-gen metric that is able to calculate, what can an individual running back do with his own individual performance in terms of the rushing yards that he's expected to get on a given play. Wayne Gallman has been better the last couple years than Saquon Barkley. And this is not to say that Wayne Gallman's a better running back than Saquon Barkley. He's not. But when can we have a conversation? And I'm asking this, I don't want an answer. When can we have a conversation about Saquon Barkley and associating him with ineffectiveness?
Tuesday.
I still think it's too early, but I want to pin it for later in the season and not be afraid to have the conversation.
Sports Management Worldwide is the global leader in online sports business education. We teach people how to work on the business side of sports. All of our classes are taught by industry professionals. Your mentors have been in the game you want to work in and done the jobs you want to do. SMWW has had graduates work for all 32 NFL teams, including Patrick Hanscom, who is an area scout for the Giants. SMWW can train you to be an agent, a scout, work in the front office, work in the film with digital video editing tool XOS Thunder used by all 32 teams. Learn from people like former Tampa Bay GM Mark Dominic, football analytics gurus Aaron Schatz, and Mike Tanier of Football Outsiders. Football player development from former NFL coach Steve Fairchild. Learn the skills and knowledge you need to know to work in football at all levels and turn your dreams into reality. They may not be able to teach Dexter Lawrence from jumping off sides and not ruining my entire night, and my entire week, but they can teach you to work in football. You know what? Also, that sucks. If he doesn't jump off sides, we're forgetting all the bad things and we're just celebrating. And he jumped off sides. Like I was dancing around my house, and then I see a penalty. And he almost misses the second one. And my brother, was watching with me, he's a Washington football team fan, and every once in a while, he'll play a Washington podcast in front of me, and I swear he does it just to, be like, I listen to it. It's JP Finley's. And I remember one time I was just making fun of him. They were talking about Hopkins as a kicker, and because he missed some kicks in the preseason about replacing him. They talked about him for 15 minutes, and I was like, who cares? Well, they were talking about a kicker for 15 minutes. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, Hopkins, you have to kick a field goal. He's going to miss. He misses, and Dexter Lawrence totally ruins my freaking night. Apply for free at smww.com and use the discount code GIANTS for $50 off the course of your choice. They offer courses in football, baseball, basketball, soccer, and more. If you have always dreamed of a job working in sports, Sports Management Worldwide can help you. From sports betting to esports, sports broadcasting. Hey, maybe I should take a course. They have the what you know and the who you know to get into the game you love. That really is an unacceptable penalty. We kind of say unacceptable kind of gets overused a little bit, But the Dexter Lawrence, that's an unacceptable. False starts, they're unacceptable, but they happen. Jumping off sides on a field goal is unacceptable. And it's not like he was jumping off to try and jump over the line like one of those guys. It's just I don't know what his deal was.
Yeah. Ball's right in front of you. Can't do it. I mean, I think that goes without saying. So if you're mad at us for not talking about it earlier in the show, I mean, it goes without what's the analysis there? I mean, don't do it. Don't Darius Slayton. Don't drop the ball. Golden Tate had a tweet. You want to talk about it?
I looked it up and I just didn't even know what it meant.
I'm having trouble with it. So maybe
he said, I can literally hear Joseph Jove at this very moment saying, "You win," quotations. "You win when you keep from losing.
You win when you stop losing." I mean, that, in just simple terms, I think
don't
that's
know
what
if
that
it's
means.
a shot at Joe Judge or a promotion of Joe Judge.
It seemed like, looking at his previous tweets, it seems like he was rooting for the Giants. But that's certainly a philosophical quote, and I can certainly hear Joseph Judge saying it.
That's not an anti-Judge. That's a pro-Judge tweet. Now that you're talking about,
you win when you keep.
I just got to snap at 2 a.m. So get Roman.com.
Nice. Yeah, get Roman.
let's finish it off. My heart breaks for Nick, dude. Like, it really does. He broke a lower leg fracture. I just feel for him, man. And I saw Andrew Thomas waving for them to come, and he was waving urgent, and then I see a 65 on the ground, man, and my heart just sunk. Like, I don't even remember anything that happened on the rest of that drive, because I was just like, I feel so bad for him, dude. The journey he's been through, and it's not over. Joe Judge said with Saquon, it's gonna be a hell of a story for 26. It's gonna be a hell of a story for 65. He's a part of this team going forward. He is a captain. Was just so proud of what he's done. And we I tweeted out earlier that, like, Nick Gates has started at every position in the NFL besides left tackle, which is what he played at Nebraska. And Danny King replied, and it reminded me of, like, hey, like, I remember Danny King being like, my player to watch for this preseason game is Nick Gates, and then that turning into it. So I feel bad for him. I reached out to his brother because I wanted to give them space, but I was like, hey, man, giving you guys your space, but thinking about you guys. And he did say, from every he said, rough night for the family. He was in pretty good spirits. From everything we are hearing, this is a lot better than having a soft tissue injury. So fingers crossed. So he'll be back. And if you've counted out Nick Gates at this point, you're stupid. So don't count it out going forward. Like, my heart. I want to try and do something for him. Is that too much?
We'll
Talking
think of
Giants
something.
listeners,
Maybe make a shirt. I don't know.
Maybe we'll get all of our listeners. Okay, here's something. Now, this is late in the podcast. Maybe we'll kind of get them all to tweet Nick Gates versus the world at, like, a certain time.
I like that. We can maybe do that.
So Friday at 7 p.m. tweet out Nick Gates versus the world, and we'll post that in the Patreon and stuff. So like just remember, and we'll do that.
Nick Gates versus the world, and then tag him at the end of it, because if you tag somebody before putting any other text on Twitter, then it, like, doesn't show up on, like, your main page. So Nick Gates versus the world, tag him at the end of the tweet.
7 p.m. Friday, Nick Gates versus the world, and then at Nick Gates 77.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is that he's kind of part of our team. We're talking Giants, and it's kind of crazy that I almost think of any time that somebody talks about Nick Gates, I do take a certain amount of pride of, like, we're kind of tagged along with it at times too, and so. Obviously he's done the work and he's grinded, and you and Danny noticed that play and just talked about it, and obviously he did the actual work, but it's been really cool to build that reciprocal relationship with him, where I think he even recognizes us, and you pointing him out in the O-line breakdowns last year, and
what's frustrating? Is because I count on Nick, the week 1 O-line report, because I knew he was going to move the left guard. And I was like, we're not really going to focus on Nick, It's like, I was like, because there's going to be plenty of film to watch of him next week when he's at left guard. And
even though he was, like, one of the best linemen out there week 1.
Yeah, I was like, there's just bigger things to like talk about than Nick Gates playing well, and so. All right, that was emotional. But 7 p.m. Nick Gates versus the world at Nick Gates 77. So
schedule it.
I want there to be at least 100 of that. I mean, we've the download numbers have been through the roof, so. Now, will everyone have listened to the end of the podcast by then? I don't know, but we'll post it to our Patreon to do that. So do it for Nick. Anything else, man?
Got to be better around the board. Sorry if you listen to this and
is the season over?
No, no, it's not. Bad division. Root for everybody else to lose in this division this weekend. That's the alternative. Obviously the schedule gets a little tough in the middle stretch. Obviously week 3 is a little bit of a weaker opponent, but it gets tough a little bit in the middle stretch, but it's not over. You can't say it's over. I mean, it's not.
Daniel Jones looked very good, and this defense that made no plays tonight has a lot of playmakers.
Yeah.
Let's win. Let's beat Atlanta. Let's beat Atlanta and move forward from there. We're talking about, people turning on Joe Judge and stuff. Well, guess what? You got 15 more games regardless. So let's see what it looks like. Let's see, but it has to get better. You can't draw this game up to a field goal at the end. There's stuff that has to be different.
Yep.
You know, not just executing better. There has to be stuff that's different, man. So, all right, we'll be back because it is Thursday Night Football. We'll be back Tuesday with cleaning up this with the film and then a mailbag next week, and then we'll do some YouTube live streams and stuff. So you guys know where to find us. There'll be all types of content. I wanted to quit, but I was like, tomorrow I'll wake up and get back to the grind. We appreciate you guys. We really do. We really do. I appreciate you guys more after losses than wins, to be honest, because it feels like a family. But we appreciate you guys. We'll see you Tuesday. Enjoy a weekend. Enjoy your weekend. It's a long weekend if you consider the Giants part of not the weekend. Appreciate you guys. See you next time. Until then, let's go Big Blue.